motion along a straight line. To understand this, let us study what is the difference between distance and displacement. So distance. Distance is the length of the path traveled by an object. Anywhere, if an object travels from A to B through any path, then the length of the path is called distance. And displacement, it is the shortest distance measured from initial to final position of an object. What do you mean by this? Say, I take a point A and point B. I can travel from A to B through any way, right? Like this, or like this, or like this, right? So any distance that I travel is measured as distance. But displacement is the only single shortest path. How do you define the shortest path? It is a straight line, right? So the shortest path traveled from initial position to final position is called displacement. Motion along a straight line is the simplest form of motion. Let us understand this through an example. Consider an object at O, where O is the reference point, and it travels to A through C and B, and then again it returns to C. We can see the marks represents the number of kilometers it has traveled from the reference point O, right? Now let us see the difference between the distance traveled from O to A and back to C and the displacement from O to A and back to C. Say, distance traveled will be is equal to the first one from O to A, whatever from O to A has traveled, and back to C, A to C. We know that distance is the total length of the path traveled by the object. Now, we know that the object has traveled from O to A and A to C. Therefore, O to A consists of 60 kilometers. We can see this from the graph. Now, from back A to C, it is what? It is 60 to 25. Therefore, it is actually what? 60 minus 25. What is it? 60 plus 20, 60 minus 25 is 35, right? So, it is together 95 kilometers, right? Therefore, the total distance traveled by this object from O to A and back to C is 95 kilometers. Now, let us see the difference in the displacement. Now, let us see the difference in the displacement of the object. We know that displacement is nothing but the shortest distance traveled from the initial position to final position. Let us examine what is the initial position here. We know that O is the initial position here. And what is the final position here? C is the final position because the object moves from O to A and back to C. Therefore, the initial position is O and the final position is C. Now, what is the shortest distance? It is a straight line, right? Now, what is the shortest distance? From the graph, we can see that the shortest distance from O to C is what? 0 to 25. Therefore, the displacement here is OC, which is 25 kilometers. Therefore, here you can see the difference between the displacement and the distance of the object. In the previous case, we have seen that the displacement and distance of an object is not same. But now let us see whether the displacement and distance can be same or the displacement is 0 in any case. In the previous case, we have seen that the displacement and distance of an object is not same. But now let us try to see if the displacement and distance of an object can be same or can the displacement be 0. Now, let us imagine the object at O is traveling to A. We know that distance traveled by the object is nothing but what? It is the total length traveled from initial to final position, right? Or the total path traveled. Now here, what is the total path traveled from O to A? It is nothing but 60 kilometers. Now let us see displacement. We know that displacement is nothing but the shortest distance traveled from the initial position to a final position. Here, which is the initial position? This is the initial position. That is, O is the initial position, right? Now, which is the final position here? A is the final position. Now, can you tell me what is the displacement here? It is the same, right? It is also 60 kilometers. Here, we have seen an example where distance and displacement is same. Let us see another example where displacement is 0. Consider the object traveling from O to A and back to O. Can you tell me the distance traveled by the object? The distance traveled by the object is nothing but the total distance covered, right? What's the total distance? The first distance is from O to A and A to O. That is O to A plus A to O. Now what is O to A? It is 60 kilometers, right? It is 60 kilometers. Now what is A to O? Again 60 kilometers. Therefore, the total distance traveled is 120 kilometers. But can you tell me what is the displacement? You know that the displacement is the shortest path or shortest distance from the initial to final position. But here it travels from O, go to A and back to O, right? Now the initial and the final position is the same, right? Then what is the distance between O and O? It is 0, right? Therefore, the displacement is what? 0. We'll try to see some exercises where we can define distance and displacement more clearly. Consider a basketball ground and you are at a corner of the basketball ground. Now, let's try to move from one corner of the basketball ground to another corner. How many ways can you go from A to D? There are a lot of ways, right? You can go like this, you can go like this, you can go like this, right? It's up to you how to go. But can you tell me the displacement from one corner to other corner? Yes, it is the shortest path, right? Now, can you tell me what's the shortest path from A to D? It is a diagonal, right? A straight line drawn from A to D. Now, this is the only displacement possible. And the other path you took can be considered as distance. It can be any other way. But the only way possible for displacement is a straight line, that is a diagonal here. Let's see another exercise. Imagine you are traveling from Delhi to Ajmer by road in your car. Now, it is not necessary that it should be a straight path, right? There can be curves and straight lines and curves in your way towards Ajmer in the road, right? Now, imagine you are in a car and there is a meter showing the number of kilometers you have traveled. You know what it is called? It is called a odometer. Now, check your odometer and see how many distance you have traveled to reach Ajmer. Now, we know that the distance that we travel from Delhi to Ajmer through a car is only a distance. A distance. But what is displacement? To find the actual displacement, you should take a map and see the straight line connecting Delhi and Ajmer and find that distance.